Welcome everyone to another episode of Rooftop Perspectives. I have a question for you. Have you ever gone to a party or a gathering that you've been invited to, and once you arrived you knew that you weren't going to be there long, that it wasn't for you? Have you ever gone to a restaurant with others, and while everybody goes crazy over the food on how good it is and delicious it is, it tastes okay to you, but there's something about the atmosphere around that doesn't sit well with you, and you have this mad urge to leave, but you don't want to insult those who are there who invited you, so you stay, but you're very uncomfortable. Have you ever been around a group of people who may be close with others there, or say someone who is supposed to be close with you, but it's their crew that they're formulating and gathering together, but you already know there's something wrong with it? It's not anything proper for you. You just want to go. You want to get away from their presence. It's pulling from you. It's not feeding you. It's not a vibration. In this world, many of us feel we don't belong. And let me make the clarification. This is not something suicidal, okay? Right? This is just an observation with myself and other people who have spoken to me about it. Meaning that this man-made engineered world has encroached on our sense of peace, where we have a reduced amount of places to, not to hide, but to recharge and replenish. Because there's always something in this engineered world that's pulling on you, tugging on you. It doesn't allow you to have peace of mind. It doesn't allow you to go into that inner zone that I cannot even say we all have, because so many of us love chaos. If we seek it out and truly want it, we can, but some people have a higher propensity to be in that zone, and I'll explain. The zone is a place where, if you are a cell phone or a smartphone, it's the charger that you sit on that allows you now to come to full power. Most creative people, artists, singers, true creative people, this is where their masterpieces come out of. This is where those classics come from. And as a person who loves to be in the zone more and more, because as a child, I grew up as an only child. Although I have a brother 11 years older than me, that because he's 11 years older than me and out in the streets and doing different things, he wasn't around as much. But I knew him very well. So in my room, it was the most beautiful place for me, because I could do what I want. I could think how I wanted. My parents cultivated the focus that I have, which I will say is tremendous, because they always honored the fact that although I was a minor growing up in their home, they wanted to instill in me a sense of respect and privacy, and the respect of the privacy of others. And this is all I know. So when I get around different people who will never knock when they open the door of a room that I'm in, or know that I'm in the bathroom or restroom and just push the door on open, just barge on in, I can tell that we had different upbringings, and they don't have a respect for the zone that we're in. As a creative, I'm very sensitive to, and an empath, the feelings of others, But I've learned not to care anymore for those who don't care for me or have the same respect for me. Those who keep secrets. Those who are supposed to give me the knowledge of what is going on, and you find things out. And you realize it's a lack of respect, because all those who participate in the secrecy, they have a blatant disrespect for you. So when you find these things out, I don't give a damn to care about you. I'll break the laws or the character traits of what you know me to have. You have to learn to care less for people who don't respect righteousness. If I say I'm a caring man and I care for all things nature and in creation, because I could care less about the engineered world, and I see an animal, a sloth, a turtle, crossing the street, I'm not just gonna run it over. Even possums that are creepy to me with that little tail and the fat body, I'm not gonna pick it up, but I'm gonna wait for it to cross the street. I have a respect for nature. But if you claim to have this righteous respect for nature and you run over an animal, that tells me a lot about yourself. If you claim to be a just person, but you go along with the secrecy or the disrespect in your midst, and you don't say anything about it, you are part of the problem and you will get cursed out too. I'm old school. I'm very clear on that. And I'm looking forward to stepping on many toes, insulting more people, and putting people in their place, because I realize that not everybody was raised in an atmosphere like I did in my beautiful home growing up. And I'm going to have to show them how I need to live, because that's how I was brought up. And I need to live the way I need to live and not tolerate the ignorance. And so in this world, we don't feel like we belong because the reciprocation is not given to us. Our standards are disrespected. And for those who feel like they don't belong, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not an oddball. You've just had your boundaries stepped on, and the world expects you not to say anything about it. To some, I want to be the bad guy. I'll be the bad guy to maintain my peace of mind. I will insult. I will scare you. I'll put my hands on you if you cross the line. If I have to. If you refuse, because I do not motion or posture. My peace of mind and me being in my creative zone is very, very important to me, because it maintains my life force. I'm not going to be plugged up to anything that drains me of my life force. If you're living correctly and you don't have the turmoil and torment inside of you, the dark feelings and emotions that come with living in the engineered world, we'll get along, because that means your life force is topped off and full. If you have people, and anybody can be a thief, but let's just say in a perfect world, those who are in the engineered world who may have several $1 million in their bank account, and maybe $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 in large notes in cash on their person, as well as credit cards. And they get invited to a person who is in the same financial bracket as they are, into their home, into their inner circle. That person who invited them may have $3,000 or $4,000 laid out on the table, open for everybody to see, in a dark corner in another room that you pass through, that you can easily take. But why would one of those guests have a need to take that money that doesn't belong to them when they have so much of their own? So understand that many people who come around you, who irk you when you are in the pursuit of your inner peace, they may say the right things, they may act the right way, but it irks you because they cross the line they are not truly one who is in the zone and who is divinely connected. Because if you're divinely connected and they're divinely connected, you will not pull on each other's life force. So when you find yourself constantly around these entities who want to lie to themselves and lie to each other, that's a game you don't want to play, and you don't want to be part of that world. You don't want to be part of the world, the engineered world where everything is superficial. We are corralled into speaking a certain way because we can't express ourselves on public platforms that are owned by other people, and it's their right to dictate to us what we can't say. But this has spilled over beyond social media now, where we have to be careful on what we say to each other. And of course, when you're cordial and respectful, when being treated in a respectful manner, it's reciprocated. But how can people disrespect you blatantly and expect that it doesn't pile up, or they don't have it coming back to them in a karma-like fashion? They're not going to get it right away. You say to yourself, let it build up. But why should we go to a party that we've been invited to that we don't want to be at that place? Especially when you were only invited to have your life force covertly sucked out of you. Or those who are on a lower vibration, they take joy in seeing you frustrated, or they try to pull you in a place of negativity so that your greatness can't shine. Your higher vibration can't shine. Because they can't go there because of the way they practice and the way they live their life. So your light upsets them. Your righteous fortitude upsets the demons in them. They know what they do and how they live, but they see your stick-to-itiveness in a legacy and trajectory of your life that has gone back so long. And they wish they have done that too, but they can still do that, but they're so caught up in the ways of the world. A world that you don't want to be a part of. Again, this is not suicidal. It's just that you have great joy when you're all by yourself, because you can go into yourself. You don't have to be bothered with the insecurities of others. You don't have to be bothered with the daily gossip that people bring. And they may say some positive things, but it only goes but so far, because the words don't match the life. And then they will have a track record of being rejected because they've been discovered, even by other lower vibrational beings who used to sit at the table with them and dine on decadence. I refuse, in this particular segment of my life, this is when we get the curtain call. This is when we get the standing ovation. This is when we are forced to live with what we've done in our life and reflect on what we've done. We can tell a stranger otherwise, and we can construct a persona and a past lying on our resume, so to say. You know, when you go to a job and you have a resume and you kind of doctor it up, but you can only doctor it up so much because they're going to call the prior employers. You can lie to another person because this is not a job when you speak about the great things you've done, but can you prove it? I'm not into that. I tell you what I've done. I tell you how I've lived. I'll tell you how I want to live, and I'll tell you how I'm living now. And most can see by what I'm showing you what my path is. And I'm quite content and overjoyed to not have any obstacle in my way. And if any obstacle gets in my way, I guarantee you will be steamrolled. Leave me alone. I know how I want to live, and I'm happy in it. I don't need to hear what the next person is doing. I don't need to be an audience to your fake persona. I don't want to be a part of your world or this world. I want to be a part of my world, to be able to spread my wings as a creative entity who thrives in positive energy, to spread my wings and go as high as I want from within, as I don't seek validation from anyone. That's the thing. Those who seek validation, whether they realize it or not, or they lie to themselves, I don't care. I won't be here one day. Probably in closer to that than I am to anything else. But I do think I have a long stretch of road ahead of me on which to travel in my study of human nature and conveying what I have on the inside. We all have a job to do. If you haven't done your job, don't stop me from doing mine, which you can't. It's evident. It's too late. You tried. Many have tried, and many will try to stop you in your life when you get that click. And what do I mean by that? When you go to an Office Depot or Home Depot, and for those who are not in America, those are stores where you can get different things for the home, and you put together this furniture. It's not classic traditional furniture. It's like office furniture, right? And you put the screws in. It's all set up. And even if you put the instructions down, when you fit two pieces of things, two different items that make this desk or this counter, and it fits into place and it makes a click, it makes a snap, and it's firm, you know you're in the right place. You know you've done right. You know that regardless as to what the instructions say, you don't need to pick it up now because it's complete. And lots of times we have that aha moment. That moment where we realize that what we're doing is what we're put here for and what we're supposed to be here for. And everything else is measured that's in your world according to that, because if it's not helping you or helping that, you have to get rid of it. It makes no sense because it will slow you down. People will realize that are not happy with their lives, that you're happy with yours without them, even though they're still within close proximity, and now they want to become a spoiler. They want to do little things to get in your way, to throw a curve at you, to take you off course. So what you have to do is make sure that they're not around you. And if you have to be around them, like on a job or a family member, keep it to a minimum. So this is why I jokingly say, and I'm very serious in my joke, that I'm a hermit now. I will tell you, get away from me. I don't want to be around you. I'm in the old man phase and I'm enjoying it. And I'm not an old man. And if other people who are approaching 60, like I am in a few weeks, if you feel old, I don't feel old. My thoughts are clear. I know what it is that I'm supposed to do. And I'm very happy to know my mission. If you have lived your life following behind others, doing things to please others, to be a part of the group, to be a part of the gang. I've never been that way because the way I was raised, and I thank my parents for that. I was never a child left on the street or neglected or just fed food and given a roof over my head and left for the rest of it to figure it out. My parents didn't treat me like a pet. They treated me like a full human being, HUE-MAN. Not humankind, like the knockoff entities that don't have souls or have engineered DNA because they just got here, but they won't tell you that in their schools. So when you have soul, real soul, you're not to waste this thing with these trivial, decadent pursuits. And a good part of my life, I did a little dipping and dabbing with the women out there. I clarify that because I don't want you to think I've been a druggie or a criminal. My thing has been carnal and the lust and the decadent pleasures that multiple women can bring. Right? So going higher, and even back then for me, I would be in a scenario, and while I'm not lost in it, I always had that lifeline, like the astronaut that's up in space and he's floating around in space, but he has this cord, this lifeline. Like I believe it helps to give him oxygen and communicates things to back on the ship. I've always had that, to righteousness and all things good, while I was immersed in that stuff. So I never really was disconnected and lost. I knew where I was, right? But so many people don't know where they stand and where their blip is on the radar screen, and they don't have that lifeline. I thank my parents for that, because I can always pull back to the ship. Pull back, pull back. And even then, while I was involved in those things, I would get signals to know that you know you're doing this stuff and you think you're feeling good, but it's not really that way. Come on back home to the ship. And guess what? I'm there now, and I'm never leaving again. And if I have to venture out into the world like I usually do to observe human nature and get around people, which I don't scorn anybody in their present state if they're not there yet, because I'm better than no one. But I happen to have learned more things about myself, and I choose not to be around certain energies. When I'm out there, I understand how gifted I am, and when you're gifted and elevated, there's a job that you have to do. So I will never lie to you about my past, but I'm not going to leave my future in the hands of others who would have me doing nothing more than indulging in the decadence and so-called creature comforts of lower vibrational thinking. Yes, we all have to go to the bathroom. We all have to consume food, the calories, the proteins, or rather amino acids, the carbohydrates, the essential fats, the water, the vitamins, minerals, and trace minerals. Yes, because we're in these vehicles right now. We have to keep them up. And that's really why now, like even today, I didn't even eat anything yet. I didn't feel to. I went to bed after the sun came up. I was zoned out of my work, but my body told me it was okay. And I slept till 5 in the afternoon because my body told me to. But I also listened to my spirit. I also listened to my mind that's not confused and clouded. So if something comes to me to do, I move accordingly, regardless as to what the world says. And this is where I want to be. So many people talk about living off the grid, and it's a wonderful thing, and I will be living off the grid, where I don't depend on anything outside of my soon-to-be 4 walls. And they say no man is an island, but you can choose what island you want to be on and who's on that island. But in that, how could I put it, sanctuary of privacy and rest and being able to let your head down, you choose your world. Because see, so many people are looking for the next fad. So many people are looking to fit into the group, to either have elected a follower to follow behind. And why should I follow behind anyone when I have my own instincts, when I have my own mind that was given to me to think independently? You see, many of us don't want to think, and we give that up to somebody else, figuring that they can think better than us. Nobody can think better for me in my life than myself. But when you begin to think for yourself, there are many who will be insulted that you chose that option, which is not an option. It's the only way to go. But they make you think that it's an option. We have too many narcissistic entities who want to control you in this world. Hence the so-called leaders of this world who are leading us to death and destruction. Leaders who are hell-bent on satisfying their egos and who are narcissists and who are power-hungry, even though they have great power in the engineered system over most of us here. But you don't have power over me. You can blow up a country, you can blow my physical body up, but you're not going to give me any fear. No country, no leader, no bomb, no man, no nothing. Because from birth, I was always given that respect as a human being, and I will accept nothing that's less. So when you feel you don't belong in this world, it shows you that you're waking up even more so. Because as wicked as this world is, you're not supposed to feel like you're part of this thing. You have a feeling of wanting to get out of this thing, that you don't belong to this thing. That's telling you that you're more on the righteous side than anything else, because it could be a gradual part of your growth. And the more and more that you don't seek to go to this party or seek to go and join this group, this organization, you don't seek to do things to be validated by people. Please accept me. Please, can I be in your group? Please, I don't have anything on the inside of myself that I'm cultivating, so I need to get around you. Please accept me. I'm not looking to be accepted. I dance to the beat of my own drummer, and I'm hearing beats from within righteously. And I won't just point up or point down or point here. It's all around me. And at first I would have to try a little hard to ignore the noise, but now I don't even hear the noise of others that have given up on trying to pull me in. So now many will feel as though, yes, we can push him away, we'll ignore him, we won't talk to him. Please, you're doing me a favor, because I am one who was raised in a way that you just might not understand. You're helping to push me into my greatness, because I have time to think. Because the party you have, I don't want to be a part of. Understand that. And that's a beautiful place to be. It truly is. So I hope my words have connected with you. And if it didn't, maybe you're not on that level. And I have to say it. We're all on different levels. We can all look a certain way. We can doll ourselves up and, project an image to make others think we're on certain levels, and in the midnight hour we are confused and hurting and we don't even know how we stand. It's sad. Like I said, we all have to indulge in the bodily functions, but that's just the vehicle. I'm not really here in this engineered world at all. If I have something to do in this world on that level, I will dip in, do what I have to do, and get out. But most of the time, I'm in bliss in that zone, and I get very angry when somebody tries to pull me out of it. You get a gazillion text messages, but you have to ignore them for a time until you have to weed out what's important. But when it brings off, I jump around and jump here and jump and become suspended where I can't do what I have to do. Because some people will sit there and forward you 300, 400 messages all day to really stop you from doing and flowing how you flow, and you just toss your phone to the side and cut it off and let them waste their time. Because text messages, I get over 1,000 or 1,500 a day. Spam and emails, and it's necessary, but me first. What I have to do first. What my mission I have to do. And I've learned, like I said before in the last video, you must learn to be selfish. I can be selfless when I need to, but you need to do for self first. You are not a receptacle to be used. This is why me and enablers really don't get along. See, the enabler will always want to work hard to make everybody else happy and please them. And especially when you, say for example, I was speaking to someone and he has a lot of issues because his wife is an enabler and he's not. And the people who suck from her, who gas her up to make it seem like she's the most wonderful person, but they're using her for her life force, they can't stand me, because I'm like, listen, you're not getting nothing out of me. I see the game you're playing, So this is his words. This is what he says. So it's all about you. You can't even focus on others, where they're going, because we're all going to end up somewhere. It's the point of transition. If we have the luxury of a transition bed, what others call deathbed, which I don't fear. Again, the world makes you fear that because they fear that. Because there's nothing for them past this, because they have no soul. They're done. If you adopt that thinking, you'll fear it too. Because I know where my mother and my fathers are, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, grandmothers, where they are my close friends. They're somewhere. They just got out of the vehicle and they're somewhere else. And it's not a bad place when you do what you have to do on this level. But I know that when you get to that point of transition, many of us will be like, wow, I wish I could have done this and I wish I could have done that. Not me. Whatever I'm called to do, I'm going to do. I don't care what's going on around me. I'm going to take care of my mission first, unless it's an emergency on your part and you really need me that way, life or death. I'll do you then. But other than that, the frivolous things of taking away bits and chunks of my time through the day, which is an artificial construct, I can't do it no more. Let's set a time, an appointment, whatever. My time, as much time as is moving, and the closer I get to transition, the value of my time goes up even more. And you need to realize this. I have no time to waste. Time is real on this level, but it doesn't exist really and truly on a level of spirituality. So that being said, I hope you got something out of this. I just wanted to speak on these things. It was fragmented, different points. Maybe it seemed like I was rambling, and if you thought so, maybe you need to go a little higher to understand that the closer you move to a higher level, the people don't understand. Do you expect first, second, third graders to understand trigonometry when they didn't even learn the basics of mathematics? No. And you can't get mad at them for not understanding. They're not there yet. And I also am not going to slow down for those who don't get it yet, who have no desire to go higher. If you have no desire to go higher, I am not going to reach and help anybody unless I see you trying. And that goes even for me. If I'm not trying, and anyone who is on a higher level in any area of expertise, and you reject me, and I'm not trying, and you find me to be a fraud, I'm not mad, because you got to be about it. You got to be about it. Now, it's not a money thing, right? But it's an example now I'm going to share. You have millionaires out here who hang with each other, right? And they're all about getting that money, which that's what they do. It's not always about money, but you need money in the engineered system. Let's think on a spiritual level as I say this. Millionaires get around and they think about how to make money. So I can only get better in that arena if I go higher and can fit in with them. Even if I don't have that kind of money, my thinking will always have them inviting me into their company because I'm thinking different. Now let's think on a spiritual level. The spiritual millionaires, right? Those who are on a higher level do not want to be around somebody who's talking about, come on, let's go get drunk and go to the club. Let's get together and drink a few drinks and go to the titty bar. And, no, that is not my best life. If you're on a lower level and that's your best life and you can say that out of your mouth, then I can't roll with you. We will never hang out. Plus, hanging out for me, I'm gaining something. I'm going somewhere. I'm learning something. The most that you can say I hang out is when I have my camera and I'm getting footage and I'm talking to people to bring home, to cook it up, to put up what I do on the YouTube side of things, because I'm also an artist. I'm also a writer. I'm not just a YouTube head, right? I don't have to chase that down. So when you're around the people who are elevated in whatever area it may be, you'll gain. But you have to be willing to think and talk like them and indulge in those conversations and show and prove that you're worthy of being in their company, right? If I'm a guy who wants to get in shape and I go to the gym, because you have a lot of people who go to the gym and waste their time because they're looking for other things. They're looking for a mate. They're looking for attention. They're looking to get a narcissistic rush with people looking at their well-developed bodies. But if I go there and I'm sincere in what I do, even if I'm overweight and don't look good at all, trust me, if I'm sincere, those who are sincere in their training will see that I'm diligent and I'm there every day, or whatever my routine requires, 4 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever it may be, and I'm executing the exercises properly. They say, hey, this person's really trying. I don't mind them being around me. But if you're going to come around me and be a dead weight or a roadblock or a potential roadblock, because I'm going to knock the roadblock down, trust me, then I don't need you around me. If I cannot continue to flow the way I will flow naturally on my own, we can't be around each other. But when you see the birds in that V shape and they're flying in formation and they're flying as one, not because they're one with the others, they're one with righteousness, they're one with the divine, and they're moving in unison, not moving any less than if they were by themselves. That's a good thing, that we can fly in unison together and still reach our goals. That's what it's all about. Anyway, salute to my brothers. Mwah. Much love to my sisters. I hope you got something out of this. Maybe I was rambling on, who knows? But the bottom line is, every day I look to form that building block to put into the structure of my final product of my life and my legacy. And hopefully each bit of time that I put in will make it even better, to perfect. You know, it doesn't mean that you're walking around trying to be perfect. That's not going to happen. But to perfect, to polish, to elevate. You can do that every single day of your life, but you can't do it unless you put the right things in your head, you have the right intentions in your heart, and you keep the right people around you when necessary. But you can do it on your own and self-propel yourself into a higher vibrating life. LanceScurv out. On to the next one. I hope you enjoyed this. More coming, as always. Peace.